Welcome back. All right, so one video on the channel today. How about two? Yeah, right? Crazy. So, in talking about Netflix and a drop in quality, for some reason, it caused my brain to circle back to The Flash. I haven't had one of these therapy sessions on The Flash for a while, so let's go ahead and get into it. Now, first off, the CW going through some issues and a sale. And that sale, that impending sale, has left everything with the network kind of up for grabs. And really, it's so up in the air what's going to happen with almost everything related to the CW. The CW is an interesting network, right? Where I have often found some of my favorite shows. Supernatural, absolutely one of my favorite shows for the first 5 seasons. Watchable for the rest of it, but those first 5 seasons, cinematic perfection. So, TV perfection, right? You guys know what I mean. So, The Flash I've been watching, and I'm too far in, right? I can't just stop watching it, especially since reports are that next year may very well be the final season. Good. This season has been, well, we had the big crossover 5-parter that didn't really go anywhere. And so this season I came in with low expectations. I don't know that it's met them. I don't know that it has. And this is the issue where the quality isn't what it was. And it just feels like they're kind of killing time at this point. You know how when a show, and this happened with the Big Bang Theory, so I'm going to mention it here, where eventually you might have an episode where something is going on with Howard and Bernadette, and then you've got Penny and Leonard, and then you've got Amy and Sheldon, and they might never cross paths. You've got, and of course Raj is wherever Raj is, um, because they left him a loser. He never had any growth on the show. I never understood that. But anyways, you could have them all having different storylines. They never actually interact. And so it was not a 21-minute episode, it was 3 different 7-minute episodes. And so there's no depth to that. And very often it would end where it began. Ta-da! And with the Flash, it's starting to feel that way too, on some level. Like you have Iris and Sue are doing their thing, which has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on in the rest of the show. And I would argue it's not very interesting either. So that's a problem. It's a problem when you've got a main character, an original character, on this big arc kind of thing, and to me, it's not very interesting. But let's go ahead and discuss it. And I've got people arranged on the board in the order they are for a reason. I want to start with Caitlin. On the most recent episode I've watched on Netflix, nice tie into my previous video. Caitlin has a flashback to Robbie. She's thinking about when she met Robbie. So they've got Robbie in this now. Robbie died in season 2, wasn't it? Season 2. So he died, and they were going to get married, and he died. And so Caitlin's had other boyfriends and other relationships since then, but all of a sudden, Robbie back. So she thinks Robbie's back, and she can hear his voice in this black flame thing. The villain is stupid. I cannot get over how ridiculous the villain is, and I know that there's likely a comic book equivalent. But this is the argument I've always had, that when you're making comic book shows, not all comic book characters translate well to TV or to movies. They don't. And I think Marvel's seen that. I think that DC's seen that as well. And while Marvel seemed to be all hits, almost every movie was a big hit, almost every series was a big hit, we're starting to see that becoming an issue as they stretch the material further and further and thinner and thinner. And with Flash, we've seen that too. I'm surprised they haven't found a way to bring Reverse Flash into this season yet, because it needs something. It definitely needs something. We had the episode with their 2 kids, which felt like a spin-off because Flash wasn't in it. Interestingly enough, that was actually an entertaining episode and no Flash in it. And that seems to be a running theme right now. So I'm starting with Caitlin because she is a doctor. They talk about what a brilliant doctor she is and what a genius she is. So Robbie comes in to see her, and I've got Robbie in blue because technically he's dead. So there's no point in mentioning him as a cast member. But she comes in to see him. He's burned his arms, about this size, all right? And you can see it. And it's red, so the skin's been peeled off. That's a second-degree burn. And I've had a second-degree burn. I've treated second-degree burns as a first aid attendant. They're not fun. The way that she treated this burn was ridiculous. It was so bad. It was so bad that I actually had to call Yvonne into the room and show her, load up the episode and show her Caitlin treating a burn. So it's second degree. She gets this. First off, she gets the alcohol out, and you never actually put the alcohol wipe on a burn or on a wound because you're hurting the healing process. Can't be doing that, and you're likely going to cause your patient to hit the ceiling, go through the ceiling, and then you're dealing with another problem. Is that it hurt like hell. But she she then gets this cream, which I guess is burn cream that she just has in her office, which is fine. Okay, if she's a doctor, I can understand her having it there. And she just takes a line of it and just kind of squirts it right on the burn. That's it. And I was like, what? So standard is this. A, you make sure it's not still burning. When you burn yourself that badly, it will continue to burn. So you run it under cold water. So you get somebody over to a sink, you run that burned area, usually your arm, and you run it under cold water to try to stop that burning or try to soothe it, and it'll soothe it, right? And then after that, if you have a cream for that or salve for that, great. You apply that to a non-stick pad. Non-stick's really important here. You then put that non-stick pad onto said burn or said wound. You then get your roller gauze out. So your roller gauze is about yay wide. It's a ball about this thick. And you wrap it. You wrap it up and you cut it with your little medical scissors there. And then you get a piece of medical tape and you wrap it up a little bit so it stays there nice and firm and you're good. So first you rinse it with cold water. You make sure the burning is stopped and that they're in a little more comfort. It can take 10 to 15 minutes. It's not glamorous for TV, but it's the right way to treat a burn. Then you get the nonstick, you put the nonstick on it, you wrap it, and if it's second degree, you should probably send them to the hospital as well. That, because she's a doctor, all right, we'll let that go, right? She squirts the whatever on there, doesn't even spread it around. So it's here, the burn is all of it is burned. She just right down the middle, and then she gets the roller gauze out and just wraps it. Immediately, somebody who's had a second degree burn twice, I feel tremendous pain looking at this because that gauze is now going to stick to the burn, which is still burning. So in that moment, I went, Caitlin is a terrible doctor. And that's not the way to start an episode, especially since it was a flashback to show how she met Robbie and they had this connection right out of the gate. And all I could think of was, is that how you wrap a burn? It reminded me of if you've watched the Full Monty and they're watching Flashdance and he's mad because of the way she's welding and he's like, that's not going to hold. That weld isn't going to hold. That's me watching that kind of a thing now on TV, where again, and it's really simple, and I know it's something small, but that to me shows that the attention to detail on the show is nowhere near what it used to be. It's just nobody in their right mind would say, well, he burned his arm. It's a bad burn. And the funny part is she goes, it's second degree. It's superficial. No, superficial's first degree, Caitlin. Second degree is actually pretty painful and it's bad. It's not a lot of fun. It takes like a week for it to heal up. And then it scars. I've got these nice scars on my legs from it. So, anyways, it's just, it's weird. It's weird that the show is lazy in some of that writing. So that took me out of it. Then you have Barry. The show's called The Flash. So how often this year has he gone out and actually caught criminals and been the Flash? Nowhere near as often as he used to. And it just feels like it's a plot point. I've used the example before too. I don't have it right here. We're in the process of packing stuff up. So I have a bunch of sonic screwdrivers from Doctor Who. At different points, the Doctor leans on the sonic screwdriver too much. I think the Matt Smith era especially, where, oh, we're in a bad situation. Oh, aliens are going to kill us. Well, I'll just use the sonic screwdriver and I'll point it there. Ta-da! Everything's fixed. Perfect. It's like MacGyver, but with the sonic screwdriver. And it feels like Barry's superpowers now are used for retrieving pizza, cleaning up, checking on somebody. It just feels like his powers are just basically used as if he was a city courier. And maybe that's his next job, because he doesn't seem to have one. A lot of people on this show, I keep asking myself, what do they do? Like Iris runs a newspaper, and all of a sudden it's this big thing. Well, how? In a time where print media is struggling, I'd be interested to know how Iris has actually built up the Central City Citizen into something. But they don't really get into that. It's just Iris is important now, and she has a staff. And so that gives Allegra something to do, because Allegra does nothing. She doesn't use her powers either, other than for really menial tasks. I get that their budget may not be what it used to be. Maybe that's what it is, but it's lame. And Iris has this weird thing going on where she's doing like time sickness, and so the Still Force from last season, I really could handle not having all the Force people around, but here we are. The Still Force telling her just stay here. Why? Why don't you take her into the Speed Force? Just put her in the house. They've got this house thing in Speed Force. Put her there. Wouldn't she be safer there? No, she magically makes people disappear and she magically makes things happen, and I don't care. And in the last episode, the girl they're trying to help, she made Iris disappear, and I don't care. And it's weird because I love Candice Patton. I think she's a good actress. I think she's a great person. She's absolutely been great at being Iris at times. But yeah, this season, it just feels like everybody's kind of checked out. That's the feeling I get. Then you have Sue. Now Sue, it's awkward because of course Sue Dearborn was brought in to be the girlfriend next wife to Elongated Man. Well, he had social media posts that they found, and so they fired him over it. That was a little over a year ago now. And Sue's just kind of there. And so she's rich, she's got means, and again, sonic screwdriver time. Oh, we have a problem. We can't get in here. Oh, well, I'm an investor. Oh, hey, my dad's on the board of governors for this company. Oh, how lucky. It's weird, right? So Sue and Iris are off doing whatever, and Sue doesn't have superpowers yet, but everybody else does. So eventually she'll have superpowers because everybody gets them, and nobody seems to react to them or think they're weird. But yeah, so Iris has disappeared, and Sue comes back to tell Barry because I guess she couldn't text him or find him on Facebook or what. I don't know why she'd have to go home. It's weird in this day and age. If something happens, oh, your wife disappears, you just text them. And if you don't have a phone, you go and you find a phone or computer or something. I would think she'd have Barry's number memorized. She should have Barry's number memorized, or at least have him on Facebook as a friend. Something, right? Some kind of way of communicating with him. So yeah, it's weird. And then you have Chester or Crunk or Chunk or whatever. He's the Cisco replacement. He's not Cisco. And again, it's no offense to the actor, but I still don't know why. There's a lot of things I don't understand. And then what drives me nuts too, and it comes back to the lazy part, is that they'll say, "Oh, we've got this villain this week. How are we going to beat him? And do we have anything?" And then out of nowhere, Chester go, "Well, we had that. Remember that thing we used 4 years ago? I can probably repurpose it, and it'll work perfectly for what we need it for right now." And I say out loud, "That's lucky. It's lucky they seem to have something for every scenario, and he just has to repurpose things." And then there's a stupid scene too, where he's sharing this technology on a live stream, which is a bad idea. And it's a technology that I believe it's for a duplicator. So let's say that you want to have two of yourself. Well, this will help you make two of yourself. It's a bad technology to just share on the internet. And he's like, "Well, I don't think there's any reason we shouldn't share it." And Allegra's like, "Are you kidding me?" Now, the funny thing is, she mutes the microphone on his live stream, but they keep talking in front of the webcam. As long as no one can read lips, you're good. If there's a single person watching that live stream who can read lips or even just guess what they're talking about, because it's pretty easy to tell what they're talking about, muting the microphone didn't help. Anyways, but they've got this weird thing with Chester and Allegra, the whole will they, won't they, and I don't care. I don't. One of the things that drives me insane, and I think one of the reasons I like certain shows that I watch, is the seeming need for TV shows to automatically introduce a romance storyline. There's nothing more frustrating to me than two characters who have no reason to be romantically involved that just end up together. And now we're in love. When was that established and why? And this is a CW thing. This is absolutely a CW thing. Everybody has to be paired off. There are Riverdale videos on this. I've not watched Riverdale because watching the videos about Riverdale have warned me off watching Riverdale, as it just sounds ridiculous. And there's a lot of icky stuff there too. But it's the same here, where it's like, just because Chester and Allegra are both single doesn't mean they have to end up together. And yet the show's making it clear that they're going to end up together. Why? Because they're single? Doesn't mean they don't have to. They don't have to pair off. It's not like you walk into a workplace and you go, well, who else here is single? Well, she is. Well, I'm not really interested, but since we're the only single people at work, I guess we might as well give it a shot. That's not how it works. So yeah, that drives me nuts. Joe's leaving the show. I don't know what he does. The funny thing is, he left. He was the police captain, and I figured he'd get that job back. He didn't. Because Kramer gets to keep her job, and she's in the show every now and then. They don't really bother with CCPD anymore much. The cops are kind of there just to act scared and stuff. They don't really do much of anything. And even, the Flash is rounding up criminals, and they're like, well, what can we do? He didn't tell us what they did. Come on, there's security cameras all over the city. There were a bunch of witnesses to all the crime stuff for the most part. Give me a break. Anyways, so Joe's leaving the show at the end of this year. Apparently he may be a recurring character next season. Next season might be the final season. It's supposed to be the final season. I totally understand why Grant Gustin would be saying, yeah, I want to go. That's the rumor, that Grant Gustin had to be talked into coming back for next season. So Joe leaving is going to hurt the show, because there's already this feeling that it's not a cast on the same level as what it was. And Cecile, that would take her off the show too, I would think, which is too bad, because of the characters on the show, Cecile Horton is relatively consistent, which has been a problem for Legends of Tomorrow and Flash, where sometimes a character's powers seem kind of random. I'm looking at Spooner on Legends of Tomorrow when I say that. But yeah, Cecile is good. I like her. The actress is fantastic. Danielle Monet. I really... It's Danielle Monet, right? Isn't it? Let me just double check on that. Yeah, Danielle Nicolay. Danielle Monet, she was Summer Rae in WWE. I knew I had that mixed up. Yeah, Danielle Nicolay, or Nicolette. Very good. And of course, XS, Nora West Allen. We'll see if their kids come back before the season's over. I would think they do, because they clearly messed something up in the past when they came back and messed with the past. Although that really hasn't been talked about since then. I don't know. I watch the show and I try to keep up. Maybe I need to take more notes during the show. I've done that before, right? So the interesting thing with CW being for sale is it's put everything up into arms when it comes to, like, we don't know what's coming back. And there's a belief that with Flash being renewed for season 9 next year, and that'll be its final season in all likelihood, Superman and Lois being renewed for season 3. I have not watched season 2 yet. I'm waiting on that. Basically, during hockey season, my time is very, very limited. When hockey season's done, I can get more into the entertainment side of things, and I can do videos like this a little more regularly, and I can catch up on Superman and Lois and then discuss what's going on there. But it's a very high-quality show. It is. But Batwoman is on the hook, could potentially be canceled. Legends of Tomorrow could be canceled. Naomi, which has just finished its first season, could be canceled. I haven't watched that one either. And so there's a belief that there's one spot open, and that Batwoman, Legends of Tomorrow, Naomi, only one of them is going to survive. Off the cuff, I would say Batwoman might be the most likely to survive of the three, because Legends has kind of had the same problem as Flash, where it feels like character storylines don't interact. There's just pointless things going on that don't make a whole lot of sense. And at the end of the season, they just kind of went, well, that's done. And you're like, but what happened? What was any of this? To the point where when I do watch Legends, I have to pause the show and debate with myself what I'm watching. But Gotham Knights is a new series that they filmed the pilot for. They're high on it, and so it's this idea of another Batman show, right? Gotham Knights, being added to the slate of CW shows for next year. So that's going to get one of 2 available slots, meaning there's only 1 slot left for the other potential. And I still call it the Arrowverse, even though Arrow is gone a long time now. But yeah, it does feel like it's CW trying to keep it alive as long as possible, and trying to get as much out of it as possible. But I don't care about the Robbie storyline with Caitlyn. I don't understand why in the last episode I watched, which is obviously there's a new one coming out this week, but in the last episode I watched, everybody's telling her it's not really Robbie, and she goes, "Well, I think it is," and they went, "Oh, okay," because this Black Fire had lied before and pretended it was Chester's dad, and Chester got talked out of it, and so he stopped. And then in the next episode, it's pretending it's Robbie, and she's like, "Nope, it's Robbie," and they go, "Oh, all right." Which I'm sure left Chester going, "Well, wait a minute, you guys all questioned when it was my dad. Why aren't you questioning her?" And the answer probably would have been, "Shut up, Chester, you haven't been here long enough." Which is a storyline they had at one point about whether or not he'd been there long enough. And I thought, hasn't he been there for years at this point? Like, just in storyline, hasn't he been there for quite a while? It's just bizarre. But I'm stuck watching it. So there you go. We'll see where the rest of this season goes and what this Black Fire storyline leads to. But again, I would be surprised if they don't try to find a way to bring in Reverse Flash, even though he was killed off unceremoniously in Legends of Tomorrow in kind of a lame fashion. They brought him in, and I was like, "Oh, cool, Reverse Flash. Oh, he's dead. What? No, that's dumb. And he doesn't have any powers. Then why is he here? Why? And I mean, they explained, but it just ruined what was a perfectly good villain. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, as always. If there are positives in this, it's that the acting is still good. Scripts being bad doesn't mean acting is bad. There's a total difference between bad acting and a bad script. And again, I just want to see how it ends. I have, another season plus. And then with the seasons being shorter, it's a little easier to get through. Like I said, next year it's supposed to be 13 episodes, and then it's basically done. Grant Gustin just signed a 1-year extension on his contract, and so odds are it's probably done next year. But I don't know what the point of Sue is, because she's not with anybody, so if you're single, they got to pair you up. We'll see who they pair her up with. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.